Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nazir, page 17, which discusses when it comes to someone who is a Nazir, in the event that they become impure, there is a punishment of malchus, of lashes. Now, it becomes a little bit more complicated if a person was already in a cemetery and they decide to make the declaration of becoming a Nazir, in which, because they're already in a cemetery and becoming impure, that does not enable them at that moment to really become a Nazir. Now, the question is that when that person enters into the cemetery and he would be a Nazir, the law is, as we said, that this person will get lashes. Now, the question that's posed over here is, what happens as far as the length of time? Does he get the punishment the second he walks in? Or does he have to actually stay in there for a certain amount of time, which is comparable to the times of the temple, in which if a person would be impure, you would only get the punishment of entering in the temple in that state if you were there for a certain amount of time. The amount of time literally to bow down, to prostrate oneself. And if you weren't there for that much time in the temple during, again, the times of the standing of the Beis HaMikdash, then you would not get the punishment. Still would be forbidden, but you wouldn't get the punishment. And the question is the same law, does it apply to this person in a cemetery? So in this we say that if he would just be in the cemetery, it makes absolutely no difference. He would immediately get the punishment, because he would be, in essence, told, do not be there, do not become a Nazir, and become a Nazir in the state of being impure. However, instead, the Talmud gives a fascinating example. It says, instead, let's say the person enters into the cemetery, but he's inside a box. Now, because he is in an enclosed box, he cannot become impure, even though he is physically in the cemetery. And then it says that someone decides to open up the roof of the box, and because of that, now he's exposed to being in a cemetery. And the question now is, which the Talmud doesn't resolve, whether or not he becomes impure and would deserve the punishment right away, or is it going to only be after him being there for an extended period of time? But we see something very fascinating when it comes to the laws of impurity, but we could apply it to ourselves as well. Just like a cemetery, in which we can say on a spiritual level, it has a spiritual negativity to one entering into such a place. However, even in the most impure place, you can still enclose yourself inside of a box, and somehow by doing that, you will not be affected by the environment around you. And this is an important lesson as well. Sometimes you may find yourself in a cemetery, not literally a cemetery, but in something in which is negative, or something in which can be conducive to life and growth, but rather something which could be destructive. But you have the ability to, on some level, create this armor around you, to be able to, so to speak, put yourself into a box and not allow the negative environment to affect you. And that's the reality. And by doing that, just like this person would not become impure, you have the ability to be able to rise above the environment that you're in. That the environment does not necessarily have to define who you will become. If you're able to somehow protect yourself and to be able to hide yourself from everything around you, then you'll be okay. But at the same time, there still may be people that will destroy that box. They're going to try to make things bad for you. And then the question is, are you going to still sit there and allow yourself to now be affected, or are you going to immediately get out? And the Talmud here is saying that maybe if you would immediately get out, then in fact you did nothing wrong.